get an immigrant family evicted, and it backfires so hard on them. If you haven't seen it, go check it out, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hello, my wonderful friends. Welcome back to r/Pro Revenge, where you'll hear stories about people getting what they deserve. Guys, before we get into today's episode, the last episode of r/Pro Revenge, there was a story about a scamming panhandler couple at a gas station. So I asked what some of your experiences were, and Terrence Bell shares his story and says, I saw some dude outside of a McDonald's asking for money for some food, so after I had something to eat, I decided to buy him a meal. He said no, he would rather have the money. I said it's food or nothing, and he took nothing. Well, isn't that something? I'm hungry. Can you give me money for food? No, but I'll buy you whatever you want to eat. No, man. Oh, some people. My friends, in this episode, there's going to be 3 tales. First, Loki shares his story about a racist couple who wanted to be evicted. The second story, Frank never told again. And we'll finish up with OP getting revenge on a coworker who keeps tormenting her. Wowza. I hope you stay for the wonderful stories today because they certainly are. And hit that subscribe button for future revenge stories. My friends, let's dive in. Anyone who's seen my post know that I used to work in a private security field. Not mall cops, but highly trained and skilled armed security. We worked residential buildings and complexes that were very high-end, like $200,000 cars in the parking garage is high-end. Now, places like this are Karen Central. Imagine apartments full of Karens and entitled teenagers. Now, the company owner was awesome. He was a cop as his regular job, and he understood what we faced. His advice was to be nice, but put the hammer down when you have to, and don't take crap from no one. So, this is important to the revenge. Each supervisor had 10 to 15 properties under their control. Regular officers patrolled them, but we were in charge of helping with evictions, attending town halls on security issues, deciding how an officer patrols, or updating what areas are being a problem and needing checked. I had 12. Now, in this one apartment complex, we had a couple that was always calling us. When we get there, they would cry about their upstairs neighbors. It was a list of things that changed.
A mortal manages a magic school.
About their stomping, their music, their loud talking, their cooking smells, and their dog going #1 on the balcony, and it was dripping on theirs. They were all valid complaints, but we never found any evidence. When they see we were
Came too soon. I need more butlers. Huh? Students want to learn practical classes?
The couple above them were a sweet and wonderful mid-aged Asian couple. Husband was an immigrant, but his wife was
Immediately closed!
These racist cretins had only talked to the husband, so they assumed that they were both immigrants. So the couple started making comments like, those Asians, and in America, why can't they cook American food? And
A mortal manages a magic school like this. Choose.
While it angered me that just call every once in a while, they call sometimes twice in one night, usually 5 to 8 times a week. So a month later, the opportunity was handed to me.
Look, the last place the government belongs is in between a woman and her doctor. I'm Nikki Budzinski, an income.
Hey, use Cash App? You can now get a free debit card right on the app with a few simple clicks and make it completely unique to you. And get rewards for using it, like percentage back on Bitcoin or instant discounts on purchases called Boosts. You can
And security. We had a patrol meeting that night, so I told them my entire plan. I wanted officers to respond each time they called and write down exactly what they said happened, and also any legal terms, no matter how minor. I marked the report urgent and sent it out. We had an online system for all businesses. Emails, schedules, report submitting, you get the idea. So away we go. During those 14 days, they complained 18 times about the company. Everything was documented, and I took it to the manager. She looked it over and said, let's evict them. As a side note, the client gets charged more for emergency responses than they do for regular patrols, meaning that their lies were costing money. So, since there was no HOA because they were rentals, in this situation, myself, the property manager made the tenants all sit down at a table. So they were sent a formal letter stating that they were facing eviction and had 10 days to set up a meeting. Time, date, etc. I also read out each line, asking them to tell me what they feel is false and what's true. The only thing they said that was false was that we reported them using racial terms. At the end of each report, I basically asked if the report is accurate in the fact that the tenants in apartment XYZ were indeed doing the things that the couple say they were doing, like playing loud music in the middle of the night. I got a yes answer every time. About the seventh one, I think the wife caught one. She started complaining that I was dragging it out. I just smiled politely and reminded her that this was my time and she had ample opportunity to object and to ask me questions after I was done. I then went through the rest and let them know a thing. After I was done getting them to admit to their lies, I informed them that the tenants in said apartment were actually out of the country at the time they made those 18 reports. I told them that the tenants provided proof that they were gone, and my officers checked the apartment one time a night and confirmed that my part, but the look on their face, we would no longer respond to calls about their apartment for the next 14 days until the eviction came through and the bad tenants left. Security officers want to help so bad, but are limited by either laws, property management, or both, so it's nice to do some good. I love how OT sets the tenants up for the downfall. How embarrassing is that? To get caught making 18 false reports. Yikes. He must have been smiling from ear to ear on the inside when the nasty couple were basically admitting that they made false reports in front of the property manager and everyone in the room. Talk about surprise Pikachu face, am I right? I work for a national crisis line that focuses on very specific demographics of people. Anyway, I have some really great coworkers. I would say we have a very colorful group from all walks of life. The specific coworker in this tale is awesome. She happens to be my desk mate. This is her first job out of college, in social and health services, and her past work includes a round of deployments in the Army. This is relative because she can come off a little strong when dealing with people in crisis and can catch you off guard. You're always trained to meet the caller where they are, in vocabulary, in tone of voice, things like that. All of this is heard from one desk over, in a small call center environment. We will call her coworker E and the caller DC for dumb caller. At the start of the call, I'm not paying much attention. You hear E answer the phone and say, "Thank you for calling Crisis Line. This is E. How can I help you?" At this point, I hear a very loud scream coming from her headset and a panicked look on her face. E starts to reflect back some of the things DC is saying, like, "It hurts so bad. I can't stop the bleeding. I don't want to live anymore." E at this point has jumped into locating the caller's phone number and running it to find a location to send 911. By this time, it's not just
I came across this game and
other coworkers and supervisors, as this call sounds very serious. The call goes on for a few more minutes. We get a location and E informs the caller that we're going to send EMTs to his location and ask what he sees around him. I think that might have been an oh crap moment because the caller disconnected the call. E jumps back on the phone and calls back. The kid answers and is laughing that this was all a joke, that he's fine, and then he swears at her and hangs up. These calls happen frequently, but this time, E isn't having it. She's pissed. This kid thinks he can just call, spew up some random stuff, and hang up. After some more digging, she finds the kid's Facebook. She now knows who he hangs out with, the school he goes to, his dog.